Hello and welcome to today's webinar that looks at how Jardine Motors Group are using e-learning to support their employees during COVID-19. My name is David Richter. I'm the Director of Marketing at Cypher. Cypher is a specialist provider of online HR, learning, payroll and recruitment software through our HCM platform, Cypher Connect. And the thing that sets Cypher Connect apart is we don't just provide seamless integration between our own suite of software, but we integrate with specialist solutions across the wider people management ecosystem. A great success story of who Cypher integrates with is Digits. Cypher partnered with Digits since 2018 to provide integrated HR and learning solutions to our own customers. In fact, the partnership between Cypher and Digits had gone so well that in September last year, Digits became part of the Cypher Group. Digits continue to operate as a standalone business and work with large enterprise organizations like Renault, Kia, The Telegraph, and Jardine Motors to deliver fully bespoke learning solutions. I'm really pleased to be joined today by Charlotte Bull from the customer experience team at Digits and Bradley Burgoyne, the head of talent at Jardine Motors Group. A very warm welcome to you both.
Thanks, David.
Charlotte,
well,
yeah, very nice to have you on. Thank you. Thank you for all your work in pulling this presentation together. Charlotte, I've spoken a little bit about Cypher and our relationship with Digits. Do you want to just give everyone a bit more of an introduction to Digits and your offering?
Sure, yeah. So we're Digits and we have almost 30 years experience working with learning and development. We're all very passionate about what we do and really interested about the different ways that different companies present their learning strategies to their clients, to their colleagues and sometimes clients. And yeah, we've got a full integration with Cypher now. So we are going through quite a lot of changes, but ultimately we are learning and development and yeah, very passionate about it.
Thank you very much. Right, on to the agenda. And I'm very pleased to tell you that it's not going to be a sales and marketing type webinar today, and that Bradley is going to be doing pretty much all of the legwork from here. We had a practice session earlier in the week and it was an excellent presentation. I'm sure everyone is going to enjoy and learn a lot from it. During the webinar, Bradley's going to be talking about how Jardine Motors Group has used Digits Enterprise LMS solutions to help them manage change, how it's helped support their employees during the challenges of last year, and their plans moving forward for 2021 and beyond. Do send in your questions during the webinar via the control panel on your screen. And if you miss anything, not to worry, everyone who has registered will receive a link tomorrow to an on-demand version that you can watch at any time or share with your colleagues if you think they'll be interested. Before I hand over to Bradley, on the next slide, we're going to kick off today's webinar with a very quick poll, which I shall just launch now. And the question is, what challenges is your L&D activity facing in 2021? And you can see the 5 different options on there. I know that they're not exclusive. There might be others that you're facing as well. And if you want to, you can pop those in the chat later on. But it's just a useful gauge to see how everyone's, I suppose, set the level of what challenges people are facing for this year. For this particular poll, it is multiple choice, so you can select as many answers as you like. And Bradley and Charlotte, over to you. I think while we're waiting for people to give their responses, do you want to just talk us through your expectations for what the results will show? Do you want to start, Bradley?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, David. I think, yeah, what does 2021 hold? And I guess, yeah, coming out of the back of the challenges of last year, I guess particularly looking to see some stuff around how do we support those remote workers. You know, very conscious that they had a lot to deal with last year, and as we go into this year, eventually when life gets back to normal, there's a hell of a lot of processing that people have got to do around what happened to them last year and how they move forward. So I guess it's how do we use those activities to support the well-being of those home workers as they work through that challenge. And again, you know, how do we then make sure that where people may have put their own development on the back foot for the last year, or I guess they've been fighting the fires that have been going on, how do we then put that development back on people's agendas, back at the top of the priority list to ensure people are getting the development that they need? And I guess that falls into that engaging content piece at the top there.
Yeah, thank you very much. Charlotte, I'm going to close the poll now. I'll share the results with everybody. It might be worth you just maybe commenting on what we can see there. I know that the standout or most popular response there is actually what you just mentioned there, Bradley, motivating employees to complete L&D activity. I think providing that engaging content goes a long way. Charlotte, I guess you speak with a lot of your customers at Digits. I wonder if you can echo those sorts of challenges.
Yeah, it's definitely something we see consistently is the engagement side of things, especially now everyone's working from home. And even we had last year, a lot of people that were furloughed were still able to log on and learn. So it did completely change the way that learning was presented in a lot of our clients.
Brilliant. All right. Thank you both. I'm going to close that poll now. I'm going to be very pleased, Bradley, to hand over to you.
Yeah, thank you, David, and welcome everybody. It's great to have so many people on today. I guess just to start, who am I? What do I do? So yeah, Bradley Burgoyne, head of talent. In terms of what the hell does a head of talent do? So my responsibility is learning and development and recruitment at Jardine Motors Group, so that whole talent life cycle. And that's me. And who are Jardine Motors Group? So we are a large dealer group here in the UK. We operate just over 50 locations, and we represent 12 brands. And as you can see on the logos there, we tend to specialise in the premium luxury end of the market. And we are 2,500 colleagues. And what do those 2,500 colleagues do? I guess in simplest terms, we sell cars and we sell parts that go on cars, and we sell hours in our workshops to maintain and repair cars when needed for our customers. So it's still down into its simplest terms. That's what we do. Jardine Motors here in the UK, we are out on our own here in the UK. We are part of a bigger global business in Jardine Matheson. Jardine Matheson have a very diverse portfolio, mostly based in the Far East. However, we do have one other UK operation, which is the Mandarin Oriental Hotel in Hyde Park, because the Mandarin Oriental Hotel chain is owned and operated by Jardine Matheson. And the global group comprises just over 450,000 colleagues. And we're fortunate that we have that bigger group that we can tap into for knowledge and expertise, particularly being Far East based in the early part of 2020, which I'm sure we're going to get into as we progress through this presentation. So that's who we are. But what do we stand for? What do we believe in? What's our priority? So in terms of our strategy, firmly people and culture is firmly at the center of what we do. Like many organizations, we have a set of core values. Ours are JOLIP, judgment, ownership, leadership, integrity, passion. And I've worked for a lot of businesses where that's a poster on the wall and that's all it is. I can safely say at Jardine, they're alive every single day. And outside of our JOLIP values, we also have some really important strategies for this year. So we have our hashtag #WeAreJMG strategy, which is all around driving the diversity and inclusion agenda in our business and how can we all support that. We have our hashtag JobSwagger initiative, which is all around internal recognition. And so if you've done something amazing internally, you can nominate someone who's got JobSwagger, and we've got a nomination process for that. And at our core, we want to develop our people. We want to develop our people, and we want them to get the most out of working with us, whether that be in their career or their current role. We want to develop our people, and we're passionate about that. Being premium, we represent some amazing, iconic premium luxury brands, and therefore we want to represent those in a premium way. So we want to be premium with our customer interaction, and equally, we want to be seen as a premium employer. We want to be premium with our colleagues as well. And the last part there, going digital. This has been on the agenda for a while, but I guess last year that became oh so important, because if you didn't go digital, you kind of couldn't do business in our world. So going digital was accelerated massively last year. And our priority there really is to create a seamless online and offline journey for our customers and make it as easy as possible to interact with us. But not just our customers, that extends into our colleagues as well, which is, I guess, why we're on this today and talking through this presentation, because we also went digital in the world of L&D. So we joined, we signed up to Digits, the enterprise LMS solution, just over 2 years ago now. And really pleased we had this in place last year, because we could leverage that digital solution to support us as we went through the year. Our platform is affectionately known internally as Ollie, That name didn't come about because I look a little bit like Ollie Mers. It actually came out from a naming competition internally, and it stands for the Online Learning Innovation, which I thought was fantastic. A colleague came up with that, and we did a reward and recognition piece around that. But how we very much position this with colleagues, it's not my platform, it's not the L&D's platform, it's your platform. So you name it, and you help us shape the content that's on there, and you tell us what you need, and we'll make sure we've got the right stuff for you. So that's our platform. That's Ollie, and I guess to talk about the theme of today's presentation, how are J&G using, or how Jardine Motors Group using e-learning to support our colleagues during COVID. I guess really, when I was thinking of putting this presentation together, I figured, we kind of got to address the elephant in the room. Let's talk about 2020. So, I think it's fair to say that 2020, none of us have quite lived through a year like that. It's without a doubt one of the hardest years I've ever had in not just my career, but personal life. And, we continue to feel the effects of that as we go into 2021. And if I was to coin what was last year all about, I think this graph really demonstrates it. It was absolutely a year of extreme change. And when I was looking for inspiration for this presentation, sometimes you find inspiration in the funniest of things. And this actually is a line graph that comes out of our platform, which is the number of logins each month. So how many times are people logging into our platform each month? And why this really stood out to me is, we've got two peaks here. Coincidentally, both of those peaks coincide with the two peaks of COVID last year. So interesting for me that when COVID was at its peak, that was the point when most people were starting to log into our platform and explore it. And when it died down in the summer, we saw those kind of logins drop, which was a really interesting piece for me to look at. But I also saw something else in this graph. But between those two peaks, I think there's a story to tell really between those two peaks, which is what I wanted to share with you today. And that story is divided into three parts really, and it's really nicely illustrated by Bridges' transition model, because the first part of that story is all about something ending. The second part is all about us trying to figure out what we're transitioning to. I think in the final part, we figured that out, and we started to work towards this new beginning. And what I'm going to share with you today is our story of that, and how the LMS platform supported us on that journey as we went through that transition model. Now, before we get into ending, I think it's important that I share with you that pre-COVID, as we were in Q1, what did business as usual look like for us at Jardine Motors Group and the L&D team? So the picture you see there on the left, that's me and the team as was. So that picture was actually taken at Digits head office down in Southampton, and that loads of post-it notes on the back is us actually pulling together our strategy. What do we want to do with this platform, and how do we want it to support our L&D and our colleagues? Interesting, in that picture, there's me, there's 4 face-to-face trainers in that picture, whose responsibility at that point in time would have been out there delivering our development programs, supporting colleagues building skills in the leadership environment, aligned to their brand, so experts in their brand and helping colleagues connect brand knowledge to what they need to do on the ground to support our customers. We've got one e-learning developer there in Suze, and we've got Donna, who as a training administrator kind of was the engine room of that, and made sure everyone was in the right place at the right time. And we were predominantly face-to-face. 90% of what we did was in front of people, interacting with people, supporting people, coaching people, whatever the need was. In terms of our showrooms and in our business, what did that look like? Well, the picture in the middle, that sales people talking to customers, supporting customers in their car purchase. Again, face-to-face. We relied on face-to-face heavily. Yes, you could make an inquiry online, but eventually you kind of had to come in and see us to complete that journey. And the final picture you see there is one of our technicians, working away on cars. Interesting, technicians worked all the way through the year, supporting key workers through some of those challenging times, and getting more back to a bit more of a business as usual as we got near the end of the year. But that was us, face to face, seeing people, supporting people. And lo and behold, the line you see there on the graph, the logins into our platform is low, because everything is geared up face to face. So I think as we started to get into March, we all got the rumblings that this thing that we were hearing about called COVID wasn't going away, and actually it was a lot more serious than any of us ever imagined. And as we then went into Q2, I think we absolutely got this sense that something was ending, you know, something was changing, and it wasn't really ever going to be the same again. I put that word up there because before March, April, I don't think any of us have ever heard the word furlough before. Now, unfortunately, we all know what that word is, and it's almost buried in our psyche now. And as a business that sells and service cars, we had a tough decision to make when we went into first lockdown, and we furloughed 95% of our colleagues, which is a lot of people. You know, we only had just over 100 people left working in the business, and as an L&D team, there was me and there was Aaron, our e-learning developer, and that was it. And you're kind of sitting there and you're going, right, how do we help people? You know, we've got 95% of people at home, you know, doing PE with Joe Wicks or a whole host of other things on furlough, anxious, not sure about the world of work. Have I got a job to go back to? What does life look like when I go back? How do we help and support those people? So we continue to give our furloughed colleagues access to our LMS. And it was really interesting to track and monitor the type of content that furloughed people were accessing. There was lots of wellbeing content being accessed. We shared wellbeing bulletins with all of those colleagues constantly in our communications to ensure that people knew the content that was available. And we saw people use it as an opportunity to upskill as well. You know, we had lots of Office 365 skills-based courses that people completed, really topping up their knowledge and skills as they went through that period. But of course, we also had this 100 people in work, and their work had changed. You know, everyone was sat at home, everyone was glued to Teams or Zoom constantly. So how do we support those colleagues? Again, wellbeing came into play, ensuring people are taking regular breaks and making sure that there was content available for people to consume around that. And not just our own content, you know, we had to look outside for inspiration. So we saw some free stuff with LinkedIn Learnings. You know, we linked out from our platform to that content. We just wanted to present people with content that was going to support them through that. And equally, we did some self-help pieces around how to make the most out of Teams, how to make the most out of Zoom, so people very quickly could upskill themselves in those platforms. As the quarter went on, it was clear that we, you know, eventually, inevitably, we needed to bring people back to work. But if we were going to bring them back, we needed to do it safely. And we needed to make sure everybody was familiar with our COVID ways of working. We had a really big challenge around this. Our policy and procedure document, we kind of got it on a Monday. We had to launch some e-learning 2 weeks later. It changed every day. Eventually, over the course of 2 weeks, we kind of got to this point where we were happy with this COVID ways of working module. And then we had the next challenge. You know, we had the best part of 2,000 people to get through that training over about a month. That was hugely challenging. Lots of pressure on the team to facilitate that. Lots of password resets, as I'm sure you can imagine, as people, you know, forgot what their password was to log in. And I think one of the proudest things of that was some of the feedback we were getting, you know, in the platform, which is fantastic, in the enterprise platform. Colleagues who complete training can leave reviews, they can tell us what they think about the training. There were so many nice comments about, you know, I was feeling really anxious about coming back. I didn't know what coming back was going to look like, but this training's really helped me. I now visualize what the environment looks like. I've got confidence that you've thought about things, you've got my safety at heart, and you put the right measures in place. And that was brilliant for us. And that really gave us a boost. You know, we felt like L&D was supporting these people getting back into the world of work and giving them purpose back of work again. And by the time we finished that quarter, we had 80% of our colleagues back. But then we see this drop off. And I think it's fair to say that from an L&D perspective, all of our focus had turned on bringing people back to work. Once they were back, we kind of looked around at each other, and I guess everyone looked at me and go, well, what's next? Well, where do we go from here? I think it's definitely fair to say that we had that bit of crisis of what's our purpose now? You know, people are back, but what is the purpose of L&D in this new world, in this new way of working? We can't see people. we've got to be virtual, we've got to be online, but what does that look like, and how do we add value to our organisation? So we had to really sit down and ask ourselves this question in the summer: what is our purpose? And you know, you get the team together, you start throwing ideas out there, and then you start to try and work on this transitioning to a new world. And I guess ultimately, what did we get out of this? That, you know, our first priority is we keep people safe. That's what we do. You know, we now create a safe working environment for our colleagues, and we ensure our colleagues have all of the tools and access to all the knowledge that they need to keep themselves and our customers safe as they interact with us. We support performance. You know, any organization last year underwent significant financial challenge, and I guess the biggest challenge at the tail end of last year was, like, how do we now get some kind of financial performance back into this business, but do it in a way where we don't break our people? You know, our people have been through significant change. So as an L&D team, we need to support that performance. We need to make sure that people have got the right tools, the right development in order to perform in their role, get this business back to financial performance, but also give people that I'm a top performer within this organization, and I've got skills and tools to be able to do that. We're agents of change. You know, we support change. Change can't happen unless people need to learn something new, whether that's a new skill, a new piece of knowledge, a new need to learn through experience. We're at the center of that. You know, L&D are at the center of that, and we need to be experts in change and change management, and we need our LMS platform to help us do that, because if we can't get face to face with people, we need other mechanisms to help us achieve that. And ultimately, you know, we're human. I think last year brought home that, you know, we're all human beings. It didn't matter if you was a director, if you was the CEO of our organization. There was points last year where no one had any idea what to do, and I think it was quite nice to in a way, to see that bit of vulnerability, that everybody's human, and we actually just need to interact with each other on a human level, and we need an L&D offering and a platform that shows that human side and enables those human stories to come out of last year. So as an L&D team, we can support those colleagues in the right way as they process everything that had happened. And that, I guess, that kind of gave us that renewed sense of purpose. Once you get that purpose and you start to transition, none of that transition is easy. You know, we basically had to transform from this face-to-face team to an online team, and that meant inevitably we had to go through an unfortunate restructure, not just within my team, but also as Jardine Motors Group, as we pivoted towards this new virtual world. And I'm sure there's many organisations that went through restructure last year, and the challenges that go along with that. We don't have any face-to-face trainers in my team anymore. We are all online. We've increased the number of e-learning developers we have, and we've upskilled the face-to-face trainers that are left in the business to be able to deliver those sessions virtually. But that, you know, that was a challenging period. That transition, none of that's easy. Thankfully, you know, everybody in our team that was displaced from L&D has gone on to onward employment. You see Hayley there. Hayley won't mind me sharing this picture. You know, she's a fantastic member of the team, brought the right attitude to that process, and has got a fantastic job post this. But as the quarter developed and we kind of went through that pain, those who we were and our new purpose really started to pay dividends, because as an L&D team, we all of a sudden were aligned and were a lot closer to the change management projects that were going on across our business. And I've picked out a few here just to kind of highlight and illustrate what they were. So as well as us going through a transformation, our actual business, you know, operational style of business did as well. We went from a business that had to deal with people face to face to launching an online sales platform. Now, plans for that platform were already in place, but that was supposed to be a 2 to 3 year project, and we all of a sudden had to get that done in months. So lots of work went into that, lots of support in terms of supporting that restructure process, giving managers the skills to be able to facilitate that. And then when people were moved into those new roles, supporting that transition and ensuring people had the right skills to be able to thrive in those new roles and understand the new platform that they were given. Part of that meant that we needed to take all of our paperwork out of the business and go to a fully online paperless business, which MStore, the product we use there, were fantastic for that. But again, that involved lots of training, lots of how-to videos, and how do I use this system? So we created these how-to videos, these software simulations where people could practice in that environment before doing it in real life, and also supporting colleagues post-implementation with a series of online workshops that people could dip into, ask their questions of an SME, and ultimately get those questions answered and understand how to use the platform. We created a connection center. So previously, all of our inquiries would have been funneled through our businesses. Now they're funneled through a central connection center team. We had to start from scratch. So we went from 0 to 100 colleagues in the space of 2 months. And not only did we need to recruit and onboard those colleagues, we need to train them in the job that they need to be done. And again, none of that would have been possible without the support of the LMS, virtual workshops, software simulations on systems, on processes, and the last one there, Launchpad. While we were recruiting those people, we needed a new way to recruit. So Launchpad is our provider of our online recruitment and assessment. So recruitment and assessment tool to assess candidates, find the right person for the role, and ultimately get them into working for Jardine Motors Group and start their induction with us. So lots of change, and what sat at the center of that was our LMS platform. Without that LMS, we wouldn't have had the mechanisms to train those new skills and behaviors into people. So it really sat at the core. And I guess as we came out of that quarter, we really started to understand what this new world looked like for us and how we added value into the business. And as we moved into that new beginning for us, one of the things I wanted to share with you was what did that look like? Show me a particular change initiative you were part of. So we launched Office 365 at the beginning of last year, and God, you know, how pleased am I that we did launch that product, because without that product, I'm not sure how we would have navigated last year. Teams was such a big help for us, as well as all the other Office 365 tools. But once colleagues started coming back to work, we need to make sure that all of our colleagues were up to speed in how to make the most out of this Office 365 platform and the tools it had. But we wanted to be able to do that in a fun and engaging way. So we created our Digital Ninja initiative. And what Digital Ninja was all about was that you could put your hand up and you could say, I want to be a digital ninja for my business area or my team or my department. And what we guaranteed you in return was then lots of training, lots of development to give you all the skills and knowledge you would need to become, I guess, kind of an expert in Office 365, and then be able to go back and support your colleagues with that skills and knowledge. And we did that through a series of missions, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about 226 missions completed as we go through the program. And I'll talk to you about the Black Belt Ninjas as well. So we created this journey, and the journey started online. You know, you log in. I don't know why I had this crazy bit of inspiration that we do it like a 90s computer game, you know, the kind of 90s retro ninja moving through this computer game. I thought it'd be a bit of fun, you never know. And people would move through these levels, and the initial levels were all about boot camp, you know, learn some new skills. And all of this was video content. So consume this video, and then we want you to try this. Consume the video, have a go, try it, work your way through these levels and complete all the levels. Once colleagues worked their way through and they completed all of these individual activities, they were eventually then invited to a boot camp. And boot camp was a virtual event that people could join. They could then ask questions of experts and gain additional knowledge, talk to us about how they had used some of the stuff they'd learned from that video content, and ultimately help support those ninjas create a plan for going back and embedding Office 365 in their business and supporting their colleagues with that change. And the way we did that was we gave them structure. So within Digits Enterprise LMS, there's the ability to assign on-the-job activities, and we just renamed an on-the-job activity to a ninja mission. So as a ninja, you were given a set of missions, and you would go back and you would complete those missions. And a mission might be something, I don't know, go back, set a team up, share some documents in that team, get colleagues sharing documents within that team and working on the joint document together. And then once you've done it, you had to evidence it. So you could upload a picture, you could upload a video, you could upload a work document, whatever it was. And you'd upload that evidence, And then as a central L&D team, we would see that evidence and we would then mark it off as, right, you've done that, you've completed, you can move on to the next level. We gamified this, so every time you completed, whether it was the Teams missions, the Yammer missions, you'd earn your ninja belt. You know, you might become a yellow ninja belt in Teams. And if you did all your missions, you were eventually invited to then complete the Big Boss mission at the end. You know, and if you completed the Big Boss mission, which was the hardest mission of all, you would become one of our black belt ninjas and one of our experts. And we still, you know, we lean on those experts and black belt ninjas today. As I said, we've got 5 of those in the business, and we have quarterly briefings with them where we keep them up to date on the latest innovations around Office 365, and still set those challenges every quarter to go back, document that, give us the case study material, and we'll then share that through our internal comms team with the rest of the business. And the reason I want to share that with you is, 1, I think it's a bit of fun, and 2, I think it's a great example of how you can utilize all of the tools available in an LMS, whether it's e-learning video, virtual workshop, or on-the-job activities to support and drive a change plan. And the great thing about those missions was, as the content were coming back to us, we could then start to put tangibles against what difference was this making in the business, and how is it driving productivity, how is it driving efficiencies, and all of that stuff we could use for the business case for Office 365. So L&D really sat at the core of that, and so too did the LMS. So that's why I wanted to share that with you. And things like Digital Ninja helps us with that new beginning in Q4. And I think what you'll see in Q4 is that we saw a massive uptick in activity. So 60% of all of the learning activity throughout the whole year came in Q4 for us, which was massive. You know, lots of logins, lots of people completing. If I look at the number of activities between Q3 and Q4, you know, 12,000 in Q3 versus 51,000 individual activities in Q4, we definitely gained some traction, some momentum. And it wasn't just about business benefit. It wasn't just about change initiatives. We ran many virtual workshops through Q4 under our #WeAreJMG strategy. And we did lots to support people and listen to the challenges that real human beings who work in our business had throughout the year, and try and support those people in the best way we can, whether that was through our colleague support mentors who are trained by Mind, giving people whatever support they needed to try and support them as individuals with no other purpose than just it's the right thing to do by our people. And a lot of that was driving that volume in Q4 as well, as we did a lot of those listening sessions and gave people a platform to just share their stories with us, which was us being more human, you know, as I said, around our purpose. And that was our journey of the year, and that was how that LMS supported us through COVID-19. You know, it was absolutely a year of extreme change, and without our LMS, I don't think we could have been as effective as an L&D team as we had been. And you know, we recently, and I'll share this with everyone, it was hot off the press. You know, we've had some external recognition around that. We got confirmation 2 days ago that we'd won the HR Excellence Award for Best L&D Strategy in 2020. And that for me was fantastic, because there's lots of people that in the team that put lots of hard work into that strategy that I just shared with you, and that year as it unfolded. And to get that external recognition was amazing as a morale boost as we go into 2021. But I guess I now look at 2021 and I go, right, we've hit this peak. You know, I've hit the second peak, if you like, of people's engagement with the LMS. And much like the question on the poll at the beginning, how do I now keep that motivation and engagement of our learners as I go into 2021? Because what springs to mind here is Charles Handy's book on the second curve, where with any organization, you hit this peak and then there's 1 or 2 things that can happen really. After this peak, you will either decline, you know, you'll carry on doing what you're doing, the world will shift around you again and you will decline, or you need to plan. You need to have a plan of how do we keep innovating? How do we keep moving this along? And I guess my job this year is, how do I keep that line going up rather than going down? And I can't do that alone. You know, I've got a fantastic team of people around me that have got amazing ideas on how we can do that. And I wanted to share some of those ideas with you in terms of what our priorities are for 2021 to keep this engagement going. So in terms of 2021, the key things that we've got for this year. So to start with, we've got some new content coming. I think last year we tried to be fun, but ultimately last year was a serious year, so there wasn't lots of opportunities to have some fun last year. Ollie, unfortunately, our LMS had a lockdown birthday last year. We couldn't celebrate properly 1-year birthday. So when Ollie turns 2 this year, which is March, we will be celebrating Ollie's birthday. What will we be doing around that celebration? We'll be doing some reward and recognition for our top learners last year. For our highest scoring points learners, we'll do some reward and recognition around that. And we're going to launch some brand new content. So Digits, who supply us with this platform, have done some great content deals, and we've looked at Thrive, which is really fresh, really cutting edge, really modern content. Feels very different from anything else anyone would have completed in our platform. And we're going to launch that as we enjoy that second birthday present. That second birthday in March. To launch that, we're going to go, big bang. The content's all there, it's available, but we've worked really, really closely with our internal comms team to look at what does the comms plan look like for the year? What are the areas of focus as we move through the year? And then how can we reference back to that area, that content as we go through an area of focus? So, inevitably at some point this year, we will be celebrating well-being. We will be celebrating diversity and inclusion. And it's important that we offer colleagues the opportunity not just to read an article on the internet, but dig deeper. And we've got content in our platform that enables that. And we know that when we work with internal comms, we drive higher engagement, more people click through and start to complete the content that we've got in the platform. Virtual workshops. So virtual workshops really took off for us in Q4 last year, increased exponentially, and there's a real appetite for these across our business. So we're going to create a dedicated part on our platform called Ollie Classes. And Ollie Classes is not just going to be, we've got this project going on and we need to give you some learning on it here, therefore here's a virtual workshop. There's going to be a whole range of workshops on there and more peer-to-peer workshops, because what we've identified in Q4 is we've done some listening and we've got to know the people far better in our organization. We've got fantastic people with fantastic skills that constantly surprise us, not necessarily in their field that they work in, but outside of that. And it's how can we leverage that, get that out into the LMS and support these people to deliver some classes in the topic they're really passionate about and they're an expert in. So we're going to give people the platform to do that this year. And I see peer-to-peer learning is a really important tool where people can give up some time and share something they're passionate about with other people in the organization. Another part of our platform we're going to launch this year is Ollie How To. It started to build now. This was down to the fact that video content increased, our video content consumption increased by 400% last year. We know people like this content. They like the show me how to do something in a video, very YouTube styly. I watch how to do it. I can hit pause. I can do the thing I need to do, and then I can go back to the video when I'm ready. I'm no DIY expert, but I'm massively more confident because YouTube exists and I can have a go at stuff because I can do that. I kind of figured the same principle applies here and people are definitely enjoying that content. And finally, when I go back to our purpose, part of our purpose is absolutely to support performance in our business. So we're going to launch Ollie Performance Reviews, which is a whole nother module within the Digits Enterprise platform. We're working with Digits to configure this at the moment. And effectively, all of our one-to-ones and annual appraisal process is going to move into this digital platform. Phase 1 of this project is to get everybody in the platform completing one-to-ones and appraisals so we can start drawing data out of that. And it can start to give me a deeper insight into what areas are we doing great in, what areas do colleagues need support in. And if I can identify those areas clearly, I can then start to design my L&D offering to support the areas that colleagues genuinely need support in, and that can develop over the course of the year. And phase 2 of that project will us then be to link performance reviews to LMS content and to classes that are available. So if I've got an area that I need to develop, it's very clear and easy for me to click through and find something in the platform that can support me with that development need. So that's very much going to be maturing this year. And by the time we reach halfway through the year, we'll have most of our divisions live on that and we can start to work through that data. And that's our plan for this year. That's our second curve. That's how I see us continuing to drive engagement and offer some new things to keep that trend going upwards of people logging into our platform. And I guess right at the core of that, David, as we just said the whole way through, is Ollie. You know, it's our platform. It sits at the center. It underpins what we do, and you know, it's a huge strategic part of our organisation now. So, thank you. That's us, David.
That's brilliant. No, thank you, Brady. That was brilliant, and thank you for taking us through not just any L&D program, but like you said, an award-winning L&D program. That was brilliant. We do have a bit of time now for some questions from the audience. We've had a few come through already, but please do, if you've got any questions you'd like to ask either Bradley or Charlotte, then do send them in using the questions function in your webinar control panel. Bradley, one for you to start off with. You mentioned you're going to be launching the Thrive library of content this year. Did you use a different library of content previously? Was it, how much of it was created yourselves? That's a question that's come in.
Yeah, we did. So when we launched with Digits, we purchased the content library that had available at the time, which has done a great job for us. It got us started. You know, I didn't have an e-learning developer to create content at the time we launched Ollie, so we needed some content to get us going. That content has been great, but it's kind of run its course now. You know, we've had it 2 years. People have completed lots of that content. And now, as we moved into last year, a lot more of our content is bespoke built. So we have 2 e-learning developers internally now. All of our core compliance content is now bespoke. We've created it ourselves, and we're starting to turn our attention to some of those optional modules. So Thrive for us is just that cherry on top of something different that's going to feel different for people to complete, and that will engage people as that word of mouth spreads that I logged in and I did something that felt very different to what I've done previously within the platform.
Thank you. There's been a few questions coming along the theme of how you've managed to get employees engaged and start using the learning activity. Any initiatives or internal communications you've used to support that?
Yeah, sure. So I guess engagement's twofold, isn't it? That one, there was some clear engagement where people had to log in. You know, you have to log in and do this COVID training, otherwise you can't come back to work. You have to log in and do some health and safety training because we're behind on that because we were locked down. So there's a bit of, you have to log in, get that. I think that's the same with LMS. You know, there's an element of compliance and people forced to log in and complete. But I guess for me, it was about, like, once people have logged in, how do we capture their imagination while they're there? And we do lots of work on our homepage to ensure when people land on our homepage, they're presented with lots of optional bite-sized content that's relevant for something that's going on at the moment. It might be something in their world, it might be something that's going on in the wider world, it might be something that they've seen from the internal comms message that's gone out there. So I think there's twofold. There's people have to log in, and once they log in, how do you then present them some other, you know, if I was to say that's the stick, this is the carrot, how do we present more carrot stuff to them once they are in to drive that appetite to want to do more? How do we reward people for doing that? You know, the point system in the platform, you'd be amazed how competitive people are, the league tables, and if you share that information, you know, it's amazing how much that generates. I want to do some content because I want to beat my colleague who's in #1 spot. So that's definitely there. It's the once they're in, how do you keep them and hold their imagination? And as I've said before, you've got to work closely with the other teams you have in your business. And if you've got an internal communication team, they are your ally with this. You know, they're fantastic, talented people that drive engagement throughout the year with different projects, different initiatives, different things that are going on in the world. And it's how can you link what's in your platform to something that's really topical and going on at the moment. So people are already interested in it, and now you're offering them, if you want to learn more, there's something here for you to be able to learn more. I think that's key to keeping that engagement going.
Great, thank you. Had a question asked about whether you deliver personalized learning content to different people or whether it's a one-size-fits-all approach.
We do. So as you can imagine, in our organization, we've got many different roles, all doing lots of different things. So Sorry, that was the door opening there to be working from home. That was my 6-year-old daughter Poppy coming in the door right there. So we do. So we tailor it. We have different brands, different divisions, different roles. Some things are not relevant for some divisions or some roles because they're not on that part of the project timeline so far. They're not on that stage of the journey. So we very much tailor the content to the audience and what that business area needs at that moment in time. The LMS has the ability for us to do that. We can set rules up and restrictions within the platform. So we can create that bespoke content for the right people at the right time. We can do that. We have the option of doing that, and we have done that as we've gone through 2020.
Great, thank you.
I hope that answers that question.
No, I think that's an excellent answer. Thank you. Given the chance, would you go back to how things were before COVID?
Great question. No, is the answer. If I really was to look back on this hard, I would probably say that the change we underwent in L&D was probably always going to happen. It was just last year accelerated it, and I think that moment where we had to stop and think about purpose was a real game changer for us. And I wouldn't want to change that now. I wouldn't want to not have had that moment of what's our purpose and redefining it. I think there's going to be a happy medium. There'll be a balance. We're all desperate to get people back into a room again. But I think the difference this time is where it was default last time, and dare I say, maybe a bit lazy on our part, just to go, well, yeah, of course, we get people in the room and we do this and we get people traveling all across the country to do that. It's now going to be the exception rather than the rule. We'll really think about, does this really need to be face to face, and why does it need to be face to face? I think the great thing now is the stuff that we're looking to do face to face, hopefully in the summer when we get back to some normality. The reason we're doing it face to face is because there's a human element to it. There's us wanting to get people in the room because we want to have a more human conversation, and we feel that conversation is better had face to face than through Teams or whatever you use. So I think would we go back? No, the world's changed. We can't go back. It's different. 2021 will be different to 2020. I wouldn't want to go back to 2019 because it just wouldn't be fit for purpose for 2021.
Thank you. With it looks like it's been filled with really innovative, really creative learning journeys and content. How many people in your team do you need to support that?
So within my team, I have Nev Hart, who's our L&D manager. I have 2 e-learning developers in Aaron and Suzanne. And we have a part-time training administrator who supports with lots of the compliance in terms of, are people on track? Is there anyone I need to chase? Et cetera, et cetera. And that's it. That's us. A small team, but that doesn't stop us having those big ambitions. And I guess where I'm really lucky is it's not just about my team. I work for a fantastic organisation where we never struggle to find an SME internally who wants to support because they see the benefit in this. We never struggle to get people to support with virtual workshops or e-learning content because we've got great people who see the benefit of our platform. So it's not just about the direct team, it's also who else can help me on this journey. And I've got lots of support internally to do that.
Great, thank you. Charlotte, I've got one for you in a moment, just to prepare you. But Bradley, one more for you. How are you helping people who are less comfortable with technology to participate?
Yeah, it's a really, really good question, and I don't think we've cracked that one yet. I've got to be honest with you. I think there's more we need to do on that. I think our digital ninjas have got a big part to play in that. I think it's slightly challenging when people have got day jobs to do and still try to acquire these skills. I've got to be honest with you, I don't think we've cracked that one yet. I think we've got people that are great with tech that are logging in. I think we've got some people that have self-taught and helped themselves and access stuff in the platform to help them. But there is definitely a population, albeit not a massive, but there is a population that we need to look at cracking that for 2020. And I think it's a really valid point. And that's me being open and honest. I don't think we have cracked that for everybody yet. It is accessible to all. You can do it on any platform, mobile, etc. but we need to do more with those people to help support and guide them to be able to do that. So yeah, that's a work in progress. If I grade myself, I'd give myself a C on that one. I think I've got more work to do to get to an A.
Do you have all staff have access to a work device?
Yes, they do, whether that's in work or outside of work. But you can also access the platform on personal device as well, because it's a cloud-based platform. It's an email, it's a login and a password to get in on any device. So it doesn't have to be on a work device to be able to access the platform.
Great, thank you. Charlotte, got a couple for you now. I think would be helpful to get your input on. First of all, just if you wouldn't mind just describing the difference between Cypher LMS and the Digits Enterprise offering, which Bradley's been talking very much about the sort of flexibility of the Digits Enterprise solution.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that is mainly it, the flexibility of it. The Cypher LMS proposition is very much an out of the box, this is what it does. However, we do understand that different companies want to use an LMS in different ways, so then we have consultancy in place for that. But if you wanted, say, custom reports or custom dashboards and some crazy funky things, you can still do the journey. So you could potentially still make something like the Digital Ninjas journey that Bradley's made with his platform, but it's more to do around the reporting side of things and more complex requirements. So there will be a lot more meetings between Digits and someone like Jardine who have an enterprise solution, whereas with Cypher LMS, it's easy to use out of the box. You'll get supporting documents and things like that. It's a lot more of a simple solution than a complex one.
Thank you. The way that I describe it in my simple language is that when with Digits Enterprise, it's as close as you can get really to starting with a blank piece of paper and just molding it to exactly your specific needs as an organization. Thank you very much. Bradley, still lots of more questions coming in, so it's excellent. Thank you everyone for submitting them. Bradley, the number of logins in your chart, there was an initial high peak, which then fell away gradually, but then the second peak looks to be sustained over a number of months. Is there anything in your mind that has led to that continued use?
Twofold, really. You know, part of that is the change programs and the fact that we've done so many of them over a short space of time that people have needed to log in to learn those new skills, learn about these new platforms, these new ways of working, and that's happened over a sustained period. You know, we've got that's not slowing down. I doubt it's a surprise to anybody that the sheer volume of change projects is only increasing as we go into 2021. There's more of them to do. You know, part of that is definitely down to the fact that there's some compliance element to that. You know, we were shut down for so long, therefore there's a bit of a compliance backlog that builds up. But I think the other part of that was offering those hashtag We Are JMG more human virtual workshops where we could just drop in and facilitate a conversation on how people were feeling and support them with a forward action and a next step. That helped sustain that through the quarter. And this month we're seeing the same again. You know, that the peak this month is nigh on exactly the same as it was in those last few months. But you know, I'd be kidding myself to say if I didn't do anything different, that eventually will drop off. So I think the plans we've got for this year will help sustain that and hopefully increase it even more.
Great. Thank you. We've had a few questions come through around integrations, whether Cypher LMS or Digits integrates with Cypher's HR solutions, and yes, absolutely it does. Bradley, in your instance, I don't know what integration you have set up between your Ollie platform and the HR systems used at Jardine.
Yeah, we do. So at Jardine, we use SAP SuccessFactors as our employee central database, and that has a auto data feed that goes into Ollie every single night, so we can input new colleagues and remove colleagues and make them dormant once they've left our organisation. So we have an API that runs every single night to keep that information up to date.
Great. Thank you. Are you using that information as well to help with reporting?
Yes, to some extent, because then I've got full visibility of everyone who works in the business, their job role, who it enables us to tell Ollie what the hierarchical structure looks like as well. So who's that person's line manager, who's their line manager. So when you're doing notifications or sending reports out, you've got all of that information to hand. So yeah, we use it in lots of different ways.
Brilliant. Thank you. Has there been any resistance to using the system, and how have you dealt with it, and how have you encouraged people to complete training?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's not for everybody, is it? I guess same that, you know, there's resistance to face-to-face training. How have we dealt with that? You try to deal with that in a really positive way to get people to understand the benefits of logging in and taking away what they need to. But you know, there is a flip side to this as well, which is there is some stuff that is non-negotiable. You know, there is some training in there that you need to complete that training, whether it's to keep people safe, which I said is a priority for us, keep yourself safe, customers safe, or actually be able to know to do something that's critical to your job role. And in that instance, it is about the reporting, it is about the chasing, it is about the engaging with line managers of those individuals. You know, you try to engage in a really positive way, and you'd love to believe that everybody loves our platform and logs into it all the time to do loads of learning. That's not the reality. Lots of people do that. Some people just log in to do the bare minimum, and you know, you have to kind of accept that sometimes. You're never going to engage 100% of the people 100% of the time. There are some people that you're going to have to almost go down a route of, you know, I wouldn't say forced to log in, but they have to log in to complete certain things.
Yeah, great, thank you. I think we've got time for one more question, so I'm going to go with just finally, has there been anything that surprised you about how your employees are using the e-learning system?
Every day, when you see people, I had a guy email me yesterday that said, is there anything else I can do? I've done it all. You can't go, how can you possibly have done over 300 different activities that are available to you? But they do, you know, so that's a surprise. You know, you say to that guy, yeah, we've got some stuff coming, you know, just hold fire. Yeah, you know, there's surprises that come every day. And I think the great thing for me is, you know, I encourage people, if they see anything, if they see something that could be better, yeah, email me direct, you know, email me, call me, tell me what it is. Because the great thing, you know, Charlotte's mentioned it about flexibility. We can be very flexible with this platform, and we can make changes really, really quickly. So yeah, you sometimes get surprises, you know, that come out of that. But yeah, every day you get something that you go, okay, no one's used it in that way before, or that's great, someone's done everything. So yeah, always a surprise.
Great, thank you. Well, look, unfortunately, that's all the time we've got for now. So thank you very much, Charlotte. But a huge thank you, Bradley, for all of your work in delivering such a great presentation, and for facing a grilling at the end as well. It's a bit like a job interview sometimes. So thank you very much. If anyone would like to discover more about the Digits Enterprise LMS solutions, then please visit digits.co.uk, or for Cypher's HR and learning solutions, visit cypher.com. That's CIPHR.com. There will be a short survey when you exit the webinar, which will help us improve future webinars. So please, if you can, do take a moment to fill that in. Thank you very much for joining us today, and I do hope to see you soon at another one of our webinars in the future. Many thanks. Thanks, everyone.